Welcome to Gumball Love. I'm Melissa Ledger, professional relationship coach, creator of Gumball Love and the Back to You Academy. If you're ready to stop the cycle of toxic men, get through the breakup once and for all, and finally get back to you, you are in the right place. This journey is about healing your heart, and you are encouraged to take the pace that is just right for you. In the process, you will build a foundation of confidence and strength that will make you unshakable, I promise. So get ready to level up your mindset and your lifestyle as you awaken the seeds of greatness just waiting to burst into full bloom. Let's do this. Welcome back to another episode of Gumball Love. I'm your host, Melissa Ledger. All right, so we are nearing the end of January already of 2022. And I don't know about you, but I just feel a difference in the air. I feel like we're kind of, and I don't want to say normal, but I feel like we are kind of returning back to somewhat of a normal. And it just, I don't know, I'm just getting such good vibes and positive energy and just feeling like myself again, reconnecting with some good habits and rituals and things like that. So I wanted to discuss that with you. And also an aha moment I had over morning coffee with my love. And it is just surreal to me every single time we do this. We don't usually get a chance to sit and have coffee until the weekends. Sometimes during the week we do, but we're usually rushing around during the week doing work. And this morning I was like, oh my gosh, I have to share this with you guys. So I wanted to also, I think, when you get into doing podcasts like this and you create a brand, you kind of forget to talk about where you were. And I was writing some notes down of where I was. And then I was going through that with Ian this morning. And he said something that I was like, OMG. And we will probably make it the title of this podcast. You felt like you were too much, but not enough. Oh, and I was like, oh my God, I feel like that's going to blow everyone's minds. Because before I came up with Gumball Love, and even through the process of coming up with Gumball Love, I was a very insecure person. I looked very together on the outside. I did well at work, had friends, and all the things outside of romance were always going pretty well. Although I was always feeling like it was never enough in a work setting. I always had such high expectations, perfectionism, always was looking to think I needed to change something, which is also, I think, a growth mindset, which I'm always searching for things. In fact, my lash girl, Courtney, she was like, how do you look so young? What are you doing? I was like, I was thinking about all the things that I do. And I always just try to find the best thing, the best skincare that I can afford. Whether it's drinking water, like I want to drink the best water. So I got a filtration system put in the house and the best foods, eating organic as much as I can. It's not perfect, but it's what I can do. And so that's why I named my program Level Up for Love, because it's about leveling up in all the areas. And I really learned this later. I was always kind of doing it, but really zeroed in on it when I met Kara Alwill from the Champagne Diet, and her brand is about living the champagne life, and it's a lifestyle that up levels everything. So when I started looking around at things like, just even pajamas, like, do I like these pajamas? Do I like these shoes? Am I wearing things that are kind of gross or balled up that need to be donated, and I'm still wearing them and I don't even feel good in them? In fact, I'll just give you an example of that. I go to Hot Works to work out. You get really sweaty. And I was thinking, I should probably just wear some sweatshirt that, I don't really care about because I'm just going to be sweating when I get into it. And then I was like, that means I have to wear something I don't really feel good in on the way to the gym and on the way home or at the gym. And I was just like, I don't want that. So I'm willing to put the one that I like through a few more washes, and maybe it doesn't last as long, but at least I'll feel good. And it's just like those kinds of decisions have been so impactful. And so prior to this, I would have doubted all of that. I was the kind of person that asked everyone else permission. In fact, when I was in the Navy, which is a whole nother story, but one of my guys from the Navy, still friends with him to this day. And he said, Ledger, every time you make a decision, you're always asking everybody else what you should do. He's like, you need to make your own decisions. And I will never forget it because I had huge respect for him. He was one of the smartest guys I've ever met. And that stuck with me. I didn't know how to stop doing it because I was always seeking someone else's approval. So when in dating, when I went out and I felt like I was too much, and a guy would make a comment about my nail polish, my makeup, my purse, that I was too dressed up. You're so put together. One of my girls just messaged me that the one guy said, you have really adult furniture. And I had a guy say the same thing to me. He was like, you have matching furniture. And I was thinking, okay, like, what does that even mean? And so then you're like, oh, so you're looking for the kind of girl that maybe has a more eclectic style, or that she's not really into having decor. I would think, okay, we're going on dates and we're having a good time. And then you're focused on my furniture. I mean, I just was like, I would be paralyzed by that kind of stuff. And every time I would get into a guy and then there would be these comments, and always when it didn't work out or eventually it would fizzle out, then I would go back and I would think about that stuff. And I'd be like, is it too much? Am I too much? Or I was just telling Ian, I go, over the years, I'd be dating whoever. And we would be like, hey, let's go to breakfast in the morning. And so I would throw on some clothes. And then I can't even remember who this was. It's probably been more than one person, but they would be like, oh, you're so dressed up for breakfast. And it would be because I'd put on all black, usually like black leggings, pair of boots, throw on like a shirt and a jacket and a scarf and my purse, and it would all match. And they would think, oh, you're getting all dressed up just to go to breakfast. And I'd just be like, no, this is just what I'm wearing. And then I would think about it and be like, I don't know what to dress in. It's like, do you want me to put a hat on? Do you want me to, because I can do that too. And I remember thinking, I don't even have makeup on. Well, you look like you have makeup on. It's like, oh my God, just because I have dark hair and have dark eyelashes. So, it's like, okay. So all of these things, then I would stand there and be like, okay, well, I don't know what to do. And I remember thinking like, am I too dressed up? Or is this nail polish too much? And then at the same time of feeling like you're too much, you feel like you're not enough for that guy. Because it's like, well, you want me to do something different than I am. You want me to be someone different than I am. So now I'm stuck with, I'm not enough, but I'm too much. And so I'm stuck. And that would make, I'm just going to look at my notes. That would make me anxious. That would make me feel like I would analyze what I had to change. I couldn't relax. I didn't know how to be myself. I would go and do things like, hey, let's go out to a club. Oh my God, I hate being at a club. That kind of club, like, kill me now. Can't talk. There's no conversation. And you can't dance to that unless you want to do the cha-cha all night, like super fast, which, would be exhausting. So I would go and do these things and I didn't fit. And then I would look around at people and be like, why does this work for them and it doesn't work for me? Like, what is wrong with me? And so you go out with all these guys and then each one might say a little something, and this shit adds up in your head and you start to accumulate a perception of what you are. And then you start to make that your own, and then you turn it into a negative. Well, I guess I'm just too much. And so then I would get ready even at a work function, and I would hear it from coworkers. Oh, you're so tall. Why do you wear heels? My Aunt Joy has a great line for that. She's 6 foot tall in her bare feet. And she said, they come with the shoe. It's like, flats are ugly with a suit. I'm not wearing flats in a suit. I can't. It's just, I feel like I look like stumpy feet. I don't like it. And then I'd be like, what I started saying to guys in my end of my career, I'd be like, hey, just because you're short doesn't mean I can't wear heels. I would just finally say that. It's like, stop telling me I can't be taller than I am. Stop telling me what shoe to wear. You're my coworker, shut up. But I would I would instead, back in the day, be like, well, I don't know. They're only like 2 inches, 1.5 inches. It's not that much of a heel. It's like, sorry that you're 5'6" and I'm 5'9.5" in my bare feet. Like I would get mad about it and I would feel defensive. And then I knew I was intimidating them. And so I literally didn't know how to not be intimidating. Can you relate to this? Like people might say, you have resting bitch face. I know I have a mean resting bitch face. Like, but I would date guys and I would take to heart these things. I would think, okay, I would change my nail polish, but I would still have my nails done. I never stopped getting my nails done. And then, so I asked Ian about this. I said, what about the guy that asks about the kind of purse that you're wearing or that you're carrying? And he said, well, why is she carrying that kind of purse? And then I was like, ooh, are you actually going to argue with me about the same thing? And he wasn't. He was just being devil's advocate. But he was saying, like, if a girl, like if you go out with girls and they're carrying like a Chanel or Louis Vuitton, sometimes they were carrying it because they wanted to talk about it. They wanted to bring attention to it. That's what was important. And so it gave me a different perspective. Like maybe some guy that's asking about your purse, which he said guys that ask about it are probably not worth it. Like a guy that brings it up on a date is probably not somebody you should spend time with. But are you bringing it up on a date? Are you flaunting your purse? Are you like, this is my new Chanel? And then it's like, then you're the girl that is drawing attention to a certain physical item or material possession. And so he had experienced girls that were very much into fashion and into brands and and they would come and that's all they would talk about. So I was thinking, okay, maybe that could be a trigger for some guys. So where they're like, they've dated girls like this, where this is all they care about, that they're all about image. They don't really have a lot of depth. And so sometimes when guys see high-end brands, and I said, well, I said, here's the deal. To me, the higher end brands are higher quality. They last longer. I mean, to a certain extent, I'm sure it's debatable. And I actually just watched the Tom Ford documentary, and I'm not even a fashionista, but I love watching people that have mastered their craft. And he talked about fashion, and he said, I know one day I'll be irrelevant and all of these things won't matter. And what I think about fashion is going to expire, and one day I'll be dead, and none of this will make any difference. He's like, so I'm looking at this stuff, and it's like, does it really matter at the end of the day? Probably not. What matters most is our connection with other people. And I was like, wow, this is one of the top designers of our time saying that what you're wearing really doesn't matter. It's the connections that you have with other people. But then he said, when I'm feeling really depressed, I put on a suit and I dress the best I can, and it makes me feel better. And he's like, if you dress in a way that makes you feel better, then it might make you think, hey, maybe I can meet somebody, and maybe you will, maybe you won't, but maybe you will, because that feeling is in you. So the way you dress and the way you accessorize gives you a certain feeling, and that feeling gives you maybe just a little boost of confidence. Your confidence doesn't have to rest in that, but it gives you just enough of a boost that it might affect your energy and how you portray yourself. And so it was just this interesting way of like, okay, so if I'm carrying a Chanel or I'm not, it doesn't really matter. But if my worth and value is in that bag and I'm carrying it around to make that be the thing that makes me worthy, that's when it can be a turnoff to a decent guy. And so I know this is kind of like a weird way of going about this, but I'm just kind of taking you guys through the conversation that he had a great line. The Chanel bag shouldn't be on the podium. And I was like, well, you know what? It is an accessory. It shouldn't be the main event of your date. But you know these kinds of people that, it's like, okay, I have a friend who's literally getting rid of these types of people in her life, where it's like all the focus is on, I mean, look, I'm a girl. I'll talk about Botox and skincare because, I'm super curious. Like, I'm always like, should I get Botox? 'Cause I've never gotten it before. And so it's, I don't have any problem talking about those things, but that's like a peripheral conversation. It's not going to be the main thing I'm talking about. So I don't hang out with those kinds of people. And so that's where our own personalities, your essence, who you are should be on the podium, and the clothes, the accessories should be just that, accessories, right? I would love to know what you think about this so are you showing up on the date, or is the purse showing up on the date is kind of what we're saying. And so I thought, okay, I get that. I can see where a guy could, especially in cities like New York, he's like, oh my God, there's just fashionistas everywhere. And that's just that kind of a date happens over and over again. And girls are looking for a specific kind of guy, or guys are looking for that specific kind of girl to fit an image. And so if that's what you're looking for, more power to you. But if you're looking for, Ian had a great comment. He goes, I would look at couples that were like that. And I thought, I wonder what they're talking about when they get home at night. And I was like, yeah, what are they talking about at home? When you take off the Prada and the Chanel, and then you're just in your pajamas. Maybe you have Prada pajamas. I don't know. But like, you know what I'm saying? What is going on? Where is the real connection? And so I want you to just think about that, because yes, there's nothing wrong with bringing or wearing high fashion things or really expensive brands, but sometimes people that have those things are hinging all of their worth in those items. And so that's where I think I was challenged. And I was looking at, the name brand things I have, or the vehicle that I wanted, or things like that. And I was like, it was like, you have to ask yourself, why do I want that? Why is that important to me? And so there's nothing wrong with having nice things. I have nice things, trust me. However, when you're showing up on a date, I think there's such a pressure to be a certain way and show up in a certain way. And so the question is, and Ian said it so great, he's like, are you doing it because you like it? Or are you doing it because you want to impress other people? Are you wearing that because you want to wear it? And so like, this is like no offense to Chanel, because Coco Chanel, I've not ever watched a documentary on her. She is a total boss. Talk about the boss babe of all boss babes. But I just, for the most part, I just don't prefer that style. Like, I don't look at it and covet a Chanel bag. I just don't. And so I'm perfectly happy with like Kate Spade or Michael Kors, or I like a very simple classic design. And so that's not where I spend my money, because I don't like it. And even if I had it, I would just be like, I don't have any, we all have the things that we really like. So if it's something you really like, and because I was telling him, like, there's a certain feeling that I get when I'm like, okay, when I'm put together and I'm dressed and I want things to be a certain way, and I want them for me. So I feel, there's a certain way that you want things to look clean, and you want them to look stylish, or whatever you want it to look like. Maybe we all have different style, but I think sometimes that style could be, and most of the time is dictated by what other people are telling you. And this is where I think Ian hit the nail on the head, because I was like, I could see him resisting me when I was saying like, look, so what if somebody shows up with a Chanel bag? Like, why is this guy caring about that? And so, but then he gave me the guy's perspective. Well, be a guy that's gone out with, 50 girls. I don't even know how many girls, like he'll say 10 girls that showed up on dates and they were into high fashion. And that's all they talked about was their bags and where they shop and designers and who they knew. And it's like, ugh, gag, because they made that who they are, versus your own personal style. And I actually am going to have my girl from Aesthetically Obsessed in our VIP masterclass weekly group coaching. We have a call every Wednesday night where we go through all things: dating, relationships, your identity, knowing the red flags, navigating online dating, navigating taking a break, all of these things. And so I wanted to bring her in to really ask you, okay, let's look at, do you even have a style? Because it doesn't really matter what bag you're showing up with. It just matters that you like it and it really feels aligned with you. And so if some guy's like, why are you carrying that bag? Right away, okay, if you're questioning a bag I'm carrying on a date, that shows that you're probably super low confidence and insecure. And also are you the type that's even going to talk about the bag? I mean, I don't think I've ever in my life talked about my purse on a date, but I have had guys notice it. So, if you have a guy that notices it, you could say something like, can I ask you why you're asking me about the brand of my purse? I'm kind of curious. And if he says something like, well, that makes you high maintenance, then he's a small-minded guy and you wouldn't even want to waste your time, because a guy that can see, okay, maybe she has a Chanel bag, maybe she has a Louis Vuitton or a Gucci or whatever, but he's having a real conversation with her. So the bag is irrelevant. Do you see what I'm saying? So we just don't want to make what we're wearing our identity. We want to have our own identity, and what we're wearing becomes the accessory to who we are and our essence. Or it's just like makeup. Makeup enhances our natural features. And so it's fun to accessorize and wear whatever you want, but I'm challenging you, like Ian challenged me this morning, like, are you doing it? Are you wearing it? Are you buying it because you think you should? Or are you buying it because you want it? I know, right? Like I was like drinking my morning coffee, thinking through all this stuff. Like, do I really want that? Or am I trying to impress people? Where am I trying to impress people? And then where is it that I really, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like maybe a little bit ouchy, but at the same time, it's liberating, because then you can really see, yeah, you know what? I really do like that bag, and I could be by myself carrying it and feel great. And that's what I feel good in. That's what I want to wear. It's what I feel comfortable in. And so, like I told him, he showed up on our first date in a suit. I showed up in a black dress and black heels and a nice coat with a purse. I mean, I was dressed up and he was dressed up. And he was like, well, I came straight from work. And I go, well, you came straight from work, but you weren't thinking, hey, I should probably put in jeans and some kind of a shirt because I have a date tonight. I'm going to change at the office. You didn't think that. You felt perfectly confident to show up on a date with a suit. And I was like, yes, love a guy in a suit. So worked for me. He didn't have to dress down. I wasn't threatened by his suit, and he wasn't threatened by my black dress and my high heels. And so there, right away, there was never a conversation. I couldn't even tell you what kind of bag I was carrying at the time. We talked about our interests. We were relaxed. Well, I was relaxed after I was not mesmerized. I was very mesmerized. We all know the story if you haven't heard my podcast. But, when I first met my love, it was very, intoxicating and butterflies and all the things. So people that tell you that when you meet your love of your life, butterflies are a sign of that it's bad, I can't say that. I understand the logic behind that, but it certainly was not the case for me. So don't question butterflies. Sometimes you get them and it's a good sign. So, yes, I was nervous. So sure. I mean, I was nervous because there was so much chemistry, and he was just like, so different than anybody I'd ever met and been out with and had a conversation with. I mean, you know how it is. You've gone through online dating hell, and you get this, 1 in a million date. It was just like so fun and exciting. And so, yeah, I had butterflies, and it didn't mean it was a bad thing. It was a good thing. So I wanted to just bring that to your attention, because it all goes into, are you too much? When you feel like you're too much, you feel like you're not enough. Too much or not enough. I just my mind is just blown by how that resonated with me. I would love to know how much it resonated with you, because I constantly felt this way on dates. And it's where all of the money is made in the industry. That is all the clickbait stuff. In fact, I'm just going to pull up in my email. I follow a clickbaity account. And top thing is the 3 reasons a man will become distant from you. So then, he's just taking space. So then immediately it's like, okay, I have to prioritize him if he's taking space, or he doesn't have long-term, or he isn't ready or capable of real intimacy. So there's all these things that you're supposed to be doing as a woman to give him space, or, maybe it's not the right time. And so then you're supposed to move over here, or do this or do that, or push away or pull here. And it's absolutely exhausting. And we are programmed with this stuff over and over and over again to think we're doing something wrong. And Like even I love my girls that are saying, don't come with your masculine energy. And I understand what they're saying because I think, like, you know, they say like, don't show up as just a boss babe. If you're a boss babe, you know, show up a little bit more feminine or flirty. But then I just want to challenge you. If you have to think about what energy you're presenting, and then you're immediately kind of like, okay, now you're overthinking how you're coming across, and then you're trying to channel the right energy, and then you aren't yourself. So, and I also think, I'm just going to throw this out here, but why is it when a man is nurturing, that's considered feminine? And, you know, like, why are we assigning masculine and feminine to this? Like, I don't necessarily think like when Ian does something loving or nurturing, I don't think of that as feminine energy. I think of it as that's just who he is. You know, he's very manly in the way he'll do it. And so it doesn't feel feminine at all to me. And so like, I feel like that also gives it a weird brand. And then it's confusing because then we're constantly thinking, am I in my masculine? Am I in my feminine? I never have to think about that. I never think about it. I'm sure that sometimes I'm more in my, like when we had coffee today, I'm arguing with him. Like, so what? What difference does it make? Why does he have to care about the Chanel bag? In that boy, and he has the strength. He's not threatened by me challenging him, and we're pouring our next cup of coffee and we're like, okay, so what are you trying to say? And then I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. So I'm not trying to dominate him. He's not trying to dominate me, but we don't mind the challenge either. Am I in my masculine or in my feminine? And, you know, 4 seconds later, we can be giving each other hugs and kisses. We're not thinking about it. We're just being ourselves. So I feel like this is like mental constipation that we're in, where it's like, oh my gosh, am I being too this? Am I being too that? I got to hop on this lake, hop on that lake, got to say this, don't say that. You know, if he needs space, then here's what you do. If he needs space, move on. You know, like people that need space, you're not ready for a relationship because you can't have space. I mean, you just really can't. You're either in or you're out. This whole thing where you think you can, okay, now I'm going to manage the pace of a relationship. I've done podcasts where it's like the person who says, I just want to take it slow. Well, what does that even mean? That means that if a relationship were like an accelerator and a brake in a vehicle, like if they could just push the gas or push the brake, then does that mean that they're in charge of that and they decide? So does that mean, what does that mean? You know what I mean? It's like, then they're just saying like, I want to take things slow. So that means I don't want to see you all the time or very often, or I want to see, you know, immediately. There's just too many rules and too much complication. So I challenge you to say to anyone that's saying, I want to take it slow, ask them what that means. Because immediately it's a disrespect to the other person. I'm going to take things slow. Oh, well, then I don't know what that means. It means I can't text you when I feel like I want to. I can't call you. I can't reach out to you. I can't hug you, can't kiss you. Like we can't have things holding us back. We need to be able to express how we feel when we feel it. And if your partner isn't capable of allowing you to express who you are exactly when you need to and you want to, it is not the right person. It's too big of a decision. It's too important of a person in your life. When you guys just take, if you're single, if you've been married before, you probably really understand like how much space this person has in your life, how much influence, how their energy is going to affect. Like, I want you to just think about, what is it that I want to do in my life? You know, when I would think about, I want to be able to help women and do these podcasts and coach and run weekly programs and help people and influence their lives. Right now I'm recording this podcast, and Ian's like, hey, the dogs were barking. He's like, do you want me to take them downstairs? And so right now they're downstairs and he knows that I'm recording. He's giving me the quiet time so that I can spend with you. I mean, just that alone, like just having someone understand who you are, what you need, that is so important. And if you're not finding that, it's just not the time. And I used to tell myself that, like, I guess I haven't met him yet. If I've met him, then, and I will tell you a small secret. I used to say that of all the guys I've dated, I don't have anybody in my past that I think about. And then there would be this tiny little thought of him, but I didn't know, I had no idea what was going on with him. And so I had put him in the past, but there was he was always the guy that would come up in my mind of like, well, I guess that would be the one maybe, but who knows? And I just didn't know, but I just would think, look, I know you want to be with somebody, but have you met the person you want in your house and in your living room and in your kitchen and your bathroom and, using your washer and dryer and in your bed and waking up having coffee? I mean, if you think about it, it's like now I spend 95% of my time with him, and, we both work from home in the same space. It's like, that's a lot of time. You got to really like that person. You've got to really be aligned with that person. So this whole thing where we're rushing because we want to have kids, like you can't rush. I mean, you're going to rush to then be with a person you spend 95% of your time with, and then also make a child with that person that you may not even be sure about just because the clock's ticking and you're 35, you're 40, you're 42, whatever. It's like, you can't rush it because of that. It's going to happen when it happens, and you cannot force it. So this whole like, am I too much? Not for the right guy. Because I always noticed I couldn't dominate Ian. I can't dominate him because he's not threatened by anything I'm doing. My therapist would say, Melissa, you've developed a skill to deal with Gumball Guys, a skill set, he would say. And that was my mouthy responses, my comebacks, I'll put them in their place. He said, if you have to use that with a guy you're dating, it's the wrong guy. So you know how we are. We get our defenses up. We know how to communicate. We know we're not going to show them that they're affecting us. We're trying to be tough girls. And you can't be the tough girl with the love of your life. You've got to be able to show your vulnerabilities, because at the same time I can share with him all the things, these ideas, like, okay, I want to do this podcast. I want to really tackle this topic of, and I was just really sharing with him the pain I was going through and where I was struggling. I was like, I don't share that enough because it kind of might look like to you, oh, well, she's got it all together and she lived in New York and she was dancing and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I was low and I was depressed and I was lost and always choosing the wrong guy and always texting the wrong guy for too long. And then proactively reaching out to a guy who wasn't pursuing me. I've done it all. And that's when he said, oh, too much and not enough. As much as I can be, Betty Badass and I'm in my mode of like brainstorming, there are also times when I'm not 100% sure about what I'm saying. And there are times that I have doubts, and that's when I need to like, show him that side and be like, I'm feeling nervous, I'm feeling scared, or I know that I'm screwing up here, or I feel like I made a mistake, whatever. I need to be able to say that to him too. And he's man enough to do both. And so that's where you develop such a respect, and your defenses don't need to be up. So just let that be a note to you. Your defenses won't be up. He won't make you feel like you're too much, and he won't make you feel like you're not enough. It's just going to be, you'll be just right. And the same for him. I'm sure girls thought, oh my gosh, he's tall and smart and, got this powerful job and he's very knowledgeable. And that could be really intimidating. But for me, it was invigorating. I was like, I like the mental challenge and that we have endless things to talk about. And so really think about these things. Like, what is it that I'm looking for? And if he is focused on your stupid bag, like, really, dude, if you're not the fashionista walking in, like trying to be all cool because you have a Chanel, like, let it be the accessory, not on the podium. But like, if he's focused on that and he's being small-minded and or condescending to you, or like, oh, do you think you're better than me? Then you kind of are, like, it's like, dude, I'm above this kind of conversation. It's rude, right? Rude for him to be that way. It shows insecurity, and it's like, yeah, I guess you're not ready for a girl like me. And you would be too much for him because he can't handle it. So it's not that you're too much. It's that you're too much for him. So that's where you need to be like, okay, it's like if he says that to you, believe him. If he's focused on it. But when people put you in uncomfortable situations, if you can always remember to ask one more question before you respond, it's so powerful. So you have a Chanel. Oh, interesting. Can I ask why you're asking me about that? And then just watch them like, oh, like, yeah, I think it's rather interesting to me that you would focus on that. My purse? I don't get it. Like I would ask them one more question, maybe to give them the benefit of the doubt to see if there's anything respectful. But when in doubt, always put yourself in the mindset of, what if this was a work lunch and this was a client meeting? And he was entertaining a client, would he say that to a client? You know what I mean? Like, it's just whenever you're in doubt, just kind of change the people in the same scenario, but just different relationships to people, and then the same kind of dialogue, and you realize how disrespectful it is, how immature it is, how wrong it is for the timing, and stop judging yourself instead. Really start to look at what kind of a person asks these questions. Why are these questions being asked? Challenge him right in the moment if you can. And you don't have to do it in a bitchy way, but I want you to stand your ground there and not feel like you have to defend yourself in the moment of something that you're wearing when that hasn't even been remotely part of the conversation at all. If you've been talking about whatever current events or vacations or family and friends, and that becomes a focal point, it can indicate that he's sitting there, and Ian said, the guy that's saying that, he's sitting there thinking, I don't know if I can measure up to this girl. And so, man, I'm going to tell you what, I spent a lot of time dating the guy that didn't know if he could measure up to me. And I was just being myself. But things I would do, the way I live my life, would always make them feel like, oh, I've got to move faster. I've got to do more. And that would be uncomfortable. And so it would have meant that I slow down to make him more comfortable. And I would always just think, what is that life really like? If I slow down and meet him where he is, and I stay where he's comfortable, then what am I giving up? And you know what it was? My dreams. Giving up my dreams, giving up on the life that I wanted, giving up on the relationships I wanted. Like, I need to be free to try whatever coffee I want, or new supplements, or go to a new gym, or try a new workout, or take a dance lesson. This is all the things I've been doing like the last 3 months. I'm always in search. I'm taking a new class. I'm doing a new master class. I'm going to do Kara Allwell's program called Iconic to bring Gumball Love even to a higher level. I'm leveling myself up while I'm teaching you how to level up, because as your teacher, I'm always a student. So, and I was actually going to just say this in my group. Don't ever think what I say is gospel. Challenge what I'm saying too. Because I want you to get to a point, and this is kind of what happened with me. I would look at certain dating advice, and then I would think, okay, I can pull some things. I mean, even from these cheesy clickbait things, there's always like maybe a little nugget of something that I might pull out of it. But I would always challenge it, and then slowly over time, I accumulated out of my own intuition and my own belief system. This is the way I want to live. I want to be with people that are building relationships based on connection, not attention. I'm going to draw my boundaries with people that are just transactional versus transformational. So I want you to also think about it that way. Am I too much, or am I not enough? Too much or not enough is somebody who's making you feel like you have to perform. It's transactional. Entertain me. Convince me you're not too high maintenance. Like, I don't want to. if you can't see that I'm not, you're probably not smart enough to date me. You need to I want to level you up to that mindset where you feel so strong and you feel so confident about the kind of person you want, what's going to fit into your life, that you build a life that you love so much that the idea of letting any guy into it and you will never even entertain the idea of lowering your standards or becoming less of who you are. So I want to challenge you to, whatever it is. And I loved how Ian said that, like when he said, are you doing it because you think that's what people want you to do? Or are you doing it because you really want to do it? Is it something you really like? Or is it because you think it's cool and everybody else will think it's cool and that's what's that's where your confidence is? Because if that's where your confidence is, then your confidence isn't authentic. And then you're not really showing up, the Chanel bag showing up. That's your representative. You know what I mean? So I hope that helps you in look at everything. Look at your clothes, look at your car, look at, all your possessions. Do they really belong to you? Is it really who you are? Does it just fit with you? And because that's how we try to really whittle you down and build you back up to where it's like, this is the real you. That's essentially what I did. I had to purge a lot of things, relationships, things that didn't really connect with me, and then start adding things in that really did connect with me. And then eventually, and I'm still adding those things in because we are constantly evolving. And so I want you to develop the skill, and this is what our weekly group masterclass is really all about, is I want you to come in for a few months and get through whatever situation you're in. Some people are really going through heartbreak. So it's hard to do all the stuff that I'm telling you to do when you're really in pain. And it's not the time to level up when you need to heal. So there's a healing time, there's a building strength time, and then there's a leveling up time. And you can always do little micro level ups. I think the micro level ups are really helpful when you're healing. Like a micro level up would be rearranging your furniture after a breakup so that you don't walk into the same space that, you're sad and you're feeling you're missing that person. So change the way things look to you, drive a different way, put a different fragrance in your vehicle. When you just change up smells, visuals, and how your space feels, it does help you feel different. And especially if you spent time in that space with that person, if you change up the way it looks, it does help the way that your brain processes things. So you can make micro changes in the healing process. And we talk all about that in the group coaching. But I'm also working with a few, as long as I have the time in my schedule. So I'm building the Level Up for Love one-on-one coaching. We do 4 sessions. The first session is about looking at who is the guy that your heart is really attached to. Maybe it's somebody that you were dating and they ghosted you, or they're still kind of keeping in touch with you, but they're not moving forward in a relationship. You feel like he's taking space, or he likes you, or maybe he even loves you, but for some reason he's not making those steps to be in a committed relationship. You feel like there's potential there. He's saying a lot of the right things sometimes. You've had really special moments. You enjoy each other's company. You feel like, man, I really feel like this guy could be somebody special, but he won't move forward. And you're wondering, like, is he capable? And how long, what do I do? How long do I hang on to this guy? So we go through all of those things, from breakups to navigating online dating. We're working with one of our girls right now. I'm really like mother henning, and Ian and I, we actually spent a lot of time over our morning coffee also talking about the girls in our group, what they're going through, how we can help them, where they are in their journey, and navigating online dating and really helping people. Okay, should I be overthinking this? What about when he says this? Okay, we went on a first date. This is what happened. Now what? That's where I really want to help you so that you learn how to trust your own instincts. You learn how to do this so that you don't need us, that you're going to build the strength. You won't be dependent on it. You're going to develop that discernment, and you'll start to feel stronger and stronger and more confident in your decisions. And you will find yourself blocking guys, filtering them out, and also really seeing who you should zero in on. Hey, you know what? I'm going to give this guy a chance. We have one girl in our group. She's gone on 2 great dates, and it's like, okay, this is how it should go. We're not going to marry him right now. We're just going to see how things go. But for right now, enjoy it and have a good time. And that's where I want to get you to, where you're actually enjoying dating, where it's fun again. Like, it should be fun. It should be enjoyable. And I know it's super stressful with just the way online dating operates, but it can be fun. And we want to help you get to that space where you're enjoying it, because one day you won't be single. You'll meet your guy. And then I also have built into this program, when you meet the guy, I want to help you with the anxiety that comes with even the right relationship, the residuals from the past Gumball Guys, the anxiety, the fears, the things that I went through that I now want to kind of reverse engineered, and things I wish I could have told myself even at the beginning of Ian's and my relationship, and how I should have navigated that differently. And there were some great things that I did, but also some things that, I've been sharing with the girls that are in new relationships as well. So much going on. I can't wait to meet you. So feel free to email me, melissa@gumballlove.com. You can go to the website. You can join the group. The link is in the bio on Instagram. So pretty much wherever you can see Gumball Love, you can sign up for either the one-on-one coaching or the weekly masterclass, which is going phenomenal and it is filling up. So reach out as soon as you hear this message. If you like this broadcast, please like, share, and review. I would love to hear your comments, even just quick comments, or you can comment in my most recent Instagram post. All right, my love, until next time, I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for listening. If you want more information or to schedule a private coaching session, or better yet, to join the next Back to You Academy, go to gumballllove.com. If you loved this podcast, I would love for you to share it with your friends. And if you really loved it, a 5-star review is the best compliment you can give. Remember, you are enough, you are right where you should be, and the only thing you have to do is keep going. I'll leave you with my favorite quote by Henry David Thoreau. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams and live the life you have imagined. Until next time, I'll see you soon.